The power of your presence. They once believed you were ordinary. They assumed you were replaceable, just another face among the crowd. But what they never realized was that the silence you would one day leave behind would speak louder than any words you ever offered while standing beside them. Think for a moment. Have you ever poured out your heart, your energy, your prayers, your kindness, only to feel invisible? As if your love and your care were just expected, taken for granted, as if you were simply part of the background? They smiled when you showed up, but deep inside, they never grasped the weight of what your presence carried. Here's the truth that time reveals. You were never ordinary. You were not just there. You were a divine placement. A carefully chosen vessel sent into specific lives and spaces for reasons far bigger than anyone around you understood. They did not see it when you arrived. They did not recognize it while you stood silently beside them. But when you left, when your absence felt like a sudden shadow, then and only then did they begin to notice what they had lost. The peace disappeared. The air grew heavier. The atmosphere that once seemed so effortless, so light, suddenly began to tremble. Because you were never just someone. You were a connection between heaven and earth. And when a chosen one walks away, the covering of heaven often walks away with them. The invisible blessing. You see, not every gift comes wrapped in applause. Not every blessing announces itself with trumpets or titles. When heaven wants to shift an atmosphere, it does not send a celebrity. It sends a servant. And that servant was you. You didn't need microphones or stages. You didn't need a spotlight to prove your worth. You simply carried your spirit, your heart, your alignment with something greater than yourself. Every quiet prayer you whispered was building walls of protection. Every time you chose compassion over ego, you were strengthening bonds they didn't even know were fragile. Every time you remained calm while others lost control, you were holding back storms they never even realized were trying to enter their lives. They thought you were just being nice, but you were interceding. They thought you were too sensitive, but you were discerning. They thought you were passive, but you were carrying invisible battles, absorbing spiritual weight they themselves could never have survived. You were a quiet storm, soft in appearance, unstoppable in purpose. They wanted a warrior with a sword, but heaven sent them a peacemaker with a shield. And because you didn't come wrapped in fame, they overlooked you, hidden in plain sight. Understand this. Invisibility was never your weakness. It was part of your mission. Many times, heaven hides its most powerful vessels in plain sight, disguising them in simplicity. The world is blind to quiet greatness, always chasing what glitters on the outside. But heaven wraps its treasures in ordinary packages. You were one of those treasures. And while others search for leaders with titles, you were leading with action. While they searched for noise, you were building peace. While they sought recognition, you sought transformation. And now that you are no longer there, the cracks are beginning to show. The foundation is shaking. The light they once ignored is dimmed, and suddenly they are stumbling in the dark, desperate to find again what they once dismissed. But what they lost was not just a person. What they lost was alignment. What they lost was a living reminder of divine order. The anchor they overlooked. While you were present, life felt effortless. Opportunities seemed to flow. Relationships felt steady. The atmosphere felt safe. They thought it was just a good season of life, mere coincidence. But what they could not see was that behind the scenes, you were the anchor. You were the one keeping everything steady beneath the surface. You were the invisible thread holding things together. While they laughed, you prayed. While they complained, you covered them. While they sought validation, you sought heaven's favor on their behalf. And now, without your presence, everything feels exposed. The storms that once passed quietly now hit with full force. The peace that used to come naturally has evaporated. The unity they relied on has fractured. They didn't realize you weren't just participating. You were maintaining order. And when you stepped away, the covering stepped away with you. The law of consequence. When a chosen one is dishonored, it's not just a personal insult. It's a spiritual misstep. You were not there by accident. You were sent. Your life, your presence, your prayers were an answer wrapped in humility. But dishonor speaks loudly in the spiritual realm. And when heaven's vessel is mocked, ignored, or dismissed, something shifts. Not because of revenge, not because of karma, but because of divine principle. When you dishonor what heaven sends, you close the door not on a person, but on a blessing. And once that door closes, the flow stops. What once came easily now feels forced. Where there was once peace, tension begins to reign. Where there was once alignment, confusion takes over. And the saddest part? They still don't realize it wasn't just you they dismissed. It was the very hand of heaven that was feeding them. Silent battles, hidden victories. Chosen one, let me remind you of something. You carried more power than they ever knew. They saw you as sensitive, quiet, maybe even weak. But what they never saw were the battles you fought on your knees. You prayed storms away. You interceded when they were unaware. You sealed cracks they ignored. You turned chaos into calm without asking for recognition. Your strength was hidden. Your impact was veiled. Your victories were silent. And now, without you, they are beginning to taste the weight of storms you used to shield them from. They are drowning in the very chaos you absorbed in silence. The question that haunts them now is simple. How can someone so quiet, so ordinary looking, leave behind such a massive void? And the answer is just as simple. Because you were never ordinary. You were heaven's strategic placement. You were an anchor disguised as a passerby. Humility, revelation, and elevation. There is a universal law. One that does not depend on human approval or rejection. It is the law of honor. Where honor flows, blessings multiply. Where dishonor enters, blessings withdraw. When people dishonored you, they thought they were simply dismissing a person. They whispered behind your back. They rolled their eyes at your prayers. They spoke as though your presence was unnecessary, too much, or too sensitive. But what they never understood was that dishonor is not just a social act. It is a spiritual decision. And heaven always responds to dishonor. The cost of dishonor. At first, it may have seemed small, a little mocking here, a little ignoring there, a subtle dismissal of your worth, your words, your warnings. But dishonor, no matter how quiet, carries consequences. Because dishonor tells heaven, we do not value what you sent us. And heaven never ignores that kind of message. Slowly, the resources began to dry up. The peace evaporated. The opportunities that once opened without effort began to slam shut. Not because you cursed them, not because you wanted them to fail, but because your very presence had been their covering, and they tore down their own protection. They did not realize that laughing at your prayers was laughing at their own safety. They did not know that rejecting you was rejecting the bridge heaven had built for them. And now, every crack is showing. Every imbalance is exposed. Every ripple of your absence is echoing louder than your presence ever did. The lesson of silence. When heaven steps in, it is not always with thunder. It is not always with fire. Often, heaven's judgment is silence. A holy silence. A silence that removes grace from environments that refuse to honor it. This silence is heavier than any rebuke. It is a silence that cannot be ignored. Because in that silence, they realize what they have lost. The laughter feels hollow. The conversations feel strained. The peace is gone, replaced with a constant uneasiness that no distraction can cure. This is not revenge. It is revelation. It is heaven teaching through absence what they refuse to learn through presence. Humility, the forgotten key. But here lies a mystery. Though dishonor carries weight, there's always a key that can unlock restoration. That key is humility. Humility is not simply saying, I'm sorry. It is not a shallow apology made to check a box. True humility is surrender. It is the courage to admit, I was blind. I misjudged. I dishonored what heaven sent me. That kind of honesty is rare. Because the world teaches people to protect their pride, to double down on their mistakes, to never admit they were wrong. But heaven does not move through pride. Heaven moves through humility, the power of bowing low. When humility enters, restoration begins. Chains break, doors open, atmospheres heal. One moment of humility can reverse years of drought. One decision to bow can unlock blessings that pride kept in chains. Because heaven resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. If those who dishonored you ever choose humility, Healing will come rushing in. The peace you once carried will return. The blessings that were delayed will be released. But pride is expensive, and many are not willing to pay the price of humility. Your absence was never the end. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Your absence was never your downfall. It was your unveiling. They thought pushing you away was the end of your story. But in heaven's design, your removal was preparation for elevation. What they discarded as common, heaven is now revealing as extraordinary. What they pushed aside as unnecessary, heaven is now positioning in places where your worth will not only be seen, but celebrated. Your silence was not weakness. It was a setup. Your rejection was not punishment. It was promotion. They saw your exit as closure. But heaven saw it as the opening of a new chapter. From rejection to recognition. Remember this. Every chosen one carries a season of rejection before a season of recognition. Joseph was rejected before he was elevated. David was overlooked before he was anointed. Even the greatest lights are first ignored before they are revealed. And so it is with you. Your departure was not your end. It was the beginning of your unveiling. Very soon, doors will open that no human can close. Opportunities will arise that only heaven can arrange. And the same voices that dismissed you will hear your name spoken with honor. Because rejection is never the last word. Recognition always comes in its time. The rising season. Lift your head. Strengthen your spirit. What is coming next cannot be ignored. Your mission was never to entertain. It was to transform. Your purpose was never to fit in. It was to shift atmospheres, to carry light into spaces filled with darkness, to hold together what others could not see breaking. And now, that mission is entering a new dimension, one where your presence will not be dismissed, one where your value will not be questioned, one where your light will not be dimmed. This is the season of unveiling, the season of rising, the season of recognition, the echo of your presence. Those who dishonored you will feel the echo of your presence for a long time. Every conflict they cannot resolve will remind them of your peace. Every opportunity that slips away will whisper of your prayers. Every silence in the room will echo with the memory of your voice. But you will not return to that environment. Your path is forward. Your journey is upward, because heaven does not waste chosen ones. Heaven repositions them. Heaven hides them only to reveal them in greater places. The final shift. So hear this, chosen one. You are not finished. You are not forgotten. You are being elevated. Every tear you cried in silence, every prayer you whispered when no one noticed, every storm you carried for others, it was all preparation. And soon, the world will see what heaven already knew. You are not ordinary. You are not replaceable. You are a vessel, a light, a living testimony of heaven's design. Get ready, because the unveiling has begun, and what's coming next will be impossible to ignore. The season of destiny. Every journey a chosen one passes through stages. Obscurity, rejection, unveiling, and finally, destiny. You have walked through the shadows. You have carried weight in silence. You have endured dishonor without retaliation. And now heaven whispers, it is time. The weight you carried. Think of all the nights you cried quietly, the days you felt unseen, the moments where you questioned whether your presence mattered at all. What no one else understood was that your pain was never wasted. Every tear was counted. Every sacrifice was recorded. Every hidden act of faith was a seed planted in unseen soil. You were not just surviving, you were sowing, and the harvest is about to break through. The preparation of pain. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to prepare you. The rejection you felt built endurance. The silence you endured taught you to listen for heaven's whispers. The dishonor you survived strengthened your resolve. Every closed door refined you. Every broken expectation sharpened your discernment. Every lonely moment deepened your connection with the divine. You were not being buried. You were being planted. And planted seeds always rise again, stronger, taller, more fruitful than before. The table of restoration. There is a promise written into the fabric of destiny. Those who dishonored you will one day watch as you are honored, not because you seek revenge, not because you need validation, but because heaven loves to display restoration. You will sit at tables you were once excluded from. You will walk through doors they once closed in your face. You will be celebrated in places where you were once overlooked. And when this happens, remember, it is not about pride. It is about testimony. It is about heaven showing the world what happens when faithfulness meets divine timing. The platform heaven gives, the stage being prepared for you, is unlike anything you have seen. It will not be man-made. It will not be given through politics, manipulation, or competition. This platform will be heaven's gift. And when heaven elevates, no one can demote. Every word you speak will carry weight. Every action you take will influence lives. Your light will no longer be hidden. It will shine in places where darkness once reigned. This is not about fame. This is about purpose. You were never created to blend in. You were created to shift atmospheres. Living as the chosen, with elevation comes responsibility. You cannot live like everyone else. You cannot respond like everyone else. Your mission is higher. Your calling is deeper. Your path is narrower. Chosen ones are not called to comfort. They are called to impact. And that impact requires discipline, humility, and constant alignment with the divine. So as you rise, guard your spirit. Stay rooted in humility. Stay anchored in prayer. Stay aligned with purpose. Because the same way dishonor closed doors for others, honor will keep doors open for you. The ripple of your light, as you step into this new season, your presence will not just influence individuals. It will influence environments. When you enter a room, peace will follow. When you speak, clarity will rise. When you act, transformation will begin. This is because you carry light. And light does not need to announce itself. It simply shines. Darkness cannot argue with light. It can only disappear. You will be that light, not through force, but through presence, not through noise, but through alignment. The restoration of multiplication. One of heaven's greatest mysteries is this. When the chosen one is restored, the restoration is multiplied. What you lost in one season will return many times over. The relationships that broke will be replaced by stronger ones. The opportunities that slipped away will be surpassed by greater ones. The peace that was stolen will be restored in overflowing measure. You will not just recover, you will multiply. And every eye that once dismissed you will witness it, not as punishment, but as proof that heaven never forgets its vessels. The voice of testimony. Your story will no longer be one of silence. Your story will become a testimony. Others who were dishonored will hear your words and find hope. Others who felt invisible will look at your journey and believe again. Others who thought rejection was the end will see that it was only the beginning. Your life will speak louder than your pain ever did. Your restoration will echo louder than your rejection. This is why you endured. This is why you survived. So that your life could be a message not just for you, but for every soul who needs to know. Chosen ones rise again. The time has come. So now, chosen one, lift your head. The season of hiding is over. The season of rejection is complete. The season of destiny has arrived. You are stepping into a future designed before you were even born. A future where your light will not be dimmed. A future where your purpose will not be misunderstood. A future where your voice will carry impact beyond anything you imagined. What once broke you has built you. What once silenced you has strengthened you. What once rejected you has redirected you. And now, nothing can stop what heaven has begun. The final declaration. Let these words settle in your spirit. You are not ordinary. You are not replaceable. You are a vessel chosen for this moment in history. Your journey has only just begun. And from this point forward, no one will be able to deny the light you carry. So step boldly, rise confidently, walk with purpose, because the season of unveiling is here. The chosen one has been prepared, and the world is about to witness what heaven has always known. This is your time. This is your destiny. This is your elevation. Every story eventually reaches its closing chapter. But chosen one, let me tell you this. What feels like the end is often just a beginning. You have walked through rejection. You have endured dishonor. You have carried battles in silence that no one around you ever saw. And yet, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still shining. That alone is proof that your story is far from over. In fact, the pain, the silence, the isolation, it was all preparation. Preparation for a season where your voice will no longer be ignored, where your light will no longer be hidden, where your purpose will no longer be denied. Remember this. Your absence revealed your value, but your presence in this next season will reveal your power. The people who dismiss you will remember you, not because you chase them, but because your elevation will be impossible to ignore. You were never designed to blend into the background. You were created to shift atmospheres, to bring peace where there was chaos, to bring clarity where there was confusion, to bring light where there was darkness. And as this new chapter unfolds, walk boldly. Don't shrink back into the shadows. Don't question your worth because of the rejection of others, what they fail to honor. Heaven is now preparing to elevate. Take this moment and declare it within yourself. This is my season of unveiling. This is my season of recognition. This is my season of restoration. You are not here by accident. You are here on assignment. And that assignment is not over. It is just beginning. So wherever you go next, carry this truth. You are chosen. You are essential. You are unstoppable. No rejection can erase your purpose. No dishonor can cancel your destiny. And no silence can dim the light that was placed within you from the very beginning. The world has yet to see the fullness of what you carry. But very soon they will, because this is your time. This is your rise. This is your destiny. Chosen one, step into it.